Go ahead and get in and dive in. We're talking with Theron Taylor over at Vivotek. He is coming from Oklahoma. We are stationed in Tennessee, so we're going to do this call remote. Theron, let's just do an introduction, right? So give us a little background, where you've been, what you've done, while you're on the call.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Matt. So like you said, I'm Theron Taylor. I've been in the security industry, physical security surveillance, kind of AI now for about 10 years. I spent half of those with Hikvision USA. And then I went to Verkada. And then I spent almost 4 years at an AI startup, Matt. That was where we connected Spot AI. And then I am at Vivotek now. I've been here about 5 months, where we're celebrating our 25th anniversary in business. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really well rounded too, with going from Hikvision to Verkada and then to Spot and now Vivotek. That's really well rounded. So I want to just jump in and say, and I know that you're going to probably lean towards where you are at Vivotek, but you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly with all of these systems at this point. Are you leaning more towards the AI portion of this is going to be a necessary and should be on every system, or are you seeing it more of a con, or is it somewhere in between, and why?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have this really strong opinion. It's not a popular opinion, Matt. I think today in 2025, AI is a solution looking for a problem. I think that it's exciting. I think that it has all of us as a captive audience. ChatGPT certainly has my 13-year-old. She uses it for dang near everything now. But I don't think that today it has fundamentally changed how physical surveillance is deployed, right? We still need humans. We still need cameras. We still need a functional IT. We need guys like you, Matt, to make sure it works. I think that AI will make it easier and simpler, but I don't think that AI will ever get what I call that 51%. It's always going to be a nice to have, right? So an analogy I'll use for you is I'm a big proponent of electric cars. I had a Tesla for a while. But the infrastructure is not there today. Tomorrow's a new day. Just like for AI, tomorrow could be a new day. I think that if anybody was going to go buy a new car, I would love for it to be electric. But the reality is I drive a Bronco now because I got to drive a lot, man. I got to travel a lot. I was in Jonesboro a couple weeks ago. The infrastructure is just not there yet for AI and physical security.
Yeah, that's a really good, I think a really good observation. I wouldn't say necessarily that's prediction or anything like that, but that's a really good observation. Been working with a lot of vendors, and that's actually how we got connected a few years ago when you were at Spot AI. Is we were working with one vendor that came down as one of those names that couldn't be put in government entities anymore. So we had to start looking around, and we got connected with companies like Verkada, and we got connected with companies like Rhombus, and then we found Spot AI, which is where we connected. And Spot AI was one that was pushing AI, which makes sense, right? It's in the name. That's kind of what they're going for. So, and which is a really good product still. So it's just a good product all the way around. But then when you compare it to things like Vivotek or Rhombus or Verkada, they may talk about some AI features, but they're not talking about AI as being the primary reason of why you use those products. As somebody who's been at Verkada and somebody who's at Vivotek now, like, why is that? Why are you guys pushing more the maybe the platform, maybe the camera feature or the camera feed and the quality of the camera, but not the actual AI version?
Yeah, so AI is an augmentation, right? It's an add-on. There's this interesting dynamic. What came first, the chicken or the egg? We know what came first in our industry, Matt. It was the security camera, right? That's always going to be the baseline. The companies that are a physical security solution, hardware manufacturer, whatever term you want to give it, first are going to have the leg up, I think, in the AI race because they've already got the baseline. When you are an AI only solution or you're AI first, you're kind of in a different solution, right? So like one of the reasons why I really love where I'm at Vivotek is we are one of the greatest camera manufacturers on the planet. Okay, we're one of the OGs in the game there with Axis and Hanwha and those guys. We have the baseline to break into AI with an incredible hardware product behind us. When you start with the AI, you're starting kind of on shaky foundations. You're saying, man, I hope the hardware is going to hold up, right? Or you got to go find your own hardware or develop it or design it. As we were saying earlier, I think the fundamental basis of our industry will always be a camera. How can you augment that camera? How can you make it better? How can you make search faster? You know this better than I do, Matt. But the reality is we need a camera. We need it plugged in. We need it watching for bad guys. And this is an important part that people are not talking about. We need a human being there to sort through that data. Maybe you're using AI to sort the data quick, right? Real quick, as companies like Spot can do. I know I was there. They could do some incredible stuff. But you still need that human element to make sure it works and functions. And again, there's actually a conversation I had in my previous role, Matt, that I think about a lot, where I told a guy, how much money are you spending on people watching the screens? And he like threw a number at me. And I was like, well, my solution can automate those roles. And this is what he said back, Matt. Well, I know those people. I don't want to automate them away. I need them. They help me run the business. Would I like to make their job faster and easier? Absolutely. But I don't want their job to go away. And there's a human element, I think, that has been kind of lost in the scramble for AI.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because we've been talking a lot the last couple of weeks about the AI gun detection. And how there are some companies that put the software out there and say that it can go and alert the police department, can alert a bunch of individuals. You can do it how you want that to work, but before the alerts go out, there's not somebody that checks it and says, yeah, that's accurate. That's a pistol or that's a rifle. And instead, you get an alert because they didn't take the time to train the AI and say, that's actually a tripod. That's not a rifle. And then you have other companies out there that have that are kind of like the OG in the AI weapon detection game, and they're the ones that have built the infrastructure on the backside to where they actually have human beings in the background that say, yeah, that's actually a false alarm. We're not pushing that through. And so I can see where these two mesh there. You were going to say something?
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious, because it almost sounds like you have the impression that this is an AI bubble that's about to pop. Do you believe that's the case?
You're asking a pretty broad question. I won't pretend to have the chops to make the determination on an AI bubble. I think they're spending a lot of money on the AI companies of the world. I don't really know what that means. They're basically saying, I think the position is like, hey, if we're on a plane, we're on a plane, we're going up and we're trying to hit space. And these AI companies are basically saying, once we get to space, we won't need gas anymore. So just keep filling the tank up while he's putting on the only parachute on the plane. You know what I'm saying? I think in physical surveillance, AI has a place. And I think it's a luxury. I think it's an add-on. I think it's a nice to have, where some companies, whether they're the AI-only companies or augmenting their product with AI, there's different ways to approach it. I think there's room for different ways. I think the danger the industry is running into is saying AI can solve all the problems that physical security has today, and I think that's very dangerous.
Yeah, and I think you're right when you said that you have to have a human aspect to this. Yep. Somebody is going to have to manage it. Somebody's going to have to confirm that the alerts were correct and went to the right people and did it in a timely manner. And somebody's going to have to send those alerts somewhere. Can AI automatically do that? Yeah, but do you want to really send false alarms to places like EMS and 911 dispatch? Yeah. And do you really want to send those false alarms? Of course not.
It may be a couple of years before I would believe anyone would be comfortable having AI fully into the example you gave when it comes to gun detection. Because you're right, when it comes to something that serious, that pertinent, there needs to be a human element in that, because at that point we're talking about possible lives at stake. Yeah.
So let's go back to the Vivotek system, because this system, you almost have two different versions of this system, right? You have the traditional NVR with the PoE ports in the back of the system, and you plug directly into it. It operates the way that a Hikvision system would, although it's NDAA compliant, which is a huge plus. And then you have the Verkada rhombus style cameras, which we can get into that mess here in just a little bit, because we all know who their manufacturer is, right? So, but when you're looking at the two systems, both versions of this have their pluses, have their minuses. On your side of things, what's your preference when you're talking to a client? Is there a preference for like all the way around, no matter who I'm talking to, or is it, or is the NVR side something that that you want to use and talk to specific clients about and ignore the cloud hybrid version with some clients, or is it just either or? What do you think?
That's a great question. So one of the reasons why I love Vivotek and the reason I'm here is we offer both different versions. So as you know, I worked at a company that only had the standalone direct-to-cloud cameras. And it's fantastic. It's scalable. Oh, you need 5,143 cameras. You buy that amount of cameras. On the other side, though, I was talking to a partner yesterday, and I showed him our Vortex. That's our direct-to-cloud, and I showed him our on-prem. And we scanned the QR code. We download the app, scan the QR code, name the camera, and it popped up pretty quick, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I love. And he's talking about, well, I want to jump into some substreams. I want to set some static IP addresses. I want to be able to jump in and really specialize this for my customers' needs. That's where the NVR shines, Matt. You probably spend more time in NVRs than I ever had. You know that kind of customization and granularity exists. I'm a young cat. I just turned 35 last week, but I'm still pretty young. I think that the direct to cloud, our Vortex, I think that is the coolest stuff ever. And I love the fact that we have that in our arsenal. It's an arrow in our quiver. I also love the fact that if I go talk to a partner who loves NVRs and wants to go plug in a box, he can do that. We've got an arrow full of quivers here. Like I said, I worked at companies that only offer one. I worked at companies that only offer the other one. The versatility is unmatched, but you're asking me, I think our Vortex solution is unmatched. I think it's second to none. I think the affordability is next level. I think our AI search is crazy. If you don't have one, Matt, let me know. I'll ship you one. No problem.
Yeah, no, and I don't have one there, and so ship me one. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about let's talk about Vortex.
Sure.
And those cameras. With those cameras, we have domes, we have bullets, we have fisheyes, we have multi-sensors. Are there PTZs?
It's coming. Early next year, Q1.
Cool. That's great.
Sweet.
That's great. What about turret cameras?
Yeah, we've got I have a 5 megapixel turret, IT 839-1Y is the model number for 5 megapixel standalone turret. Great.
So the reason why I asked that question about the turret is, you know us, we work a lot in the car wash industry, right? Yeah. And with those car washes, with anything when there's a lot of water, a dome camera, it's going to be, you're going to have to replace it very, very quickly within 6 months. It's just a given. And depending on what type of facility it is, sometimes the bullets stick out more and are more of an eyesore, you know? Yep. They're not always going to be the like R5 500 or R510 that we have up here that are just going to look massive but beautiful all at the same time. So turrets are the way to go. But with other companies that have this cloud hybrid version camera, they don't offer turrets. It's you have to get a dome or you have to get a bullet. And that was just an interesting thing. I was wondering if Vivotek had that turret. So no, that's great. So those turrets actually will fit into those ecosystems then.
Yeah. Another cool thing about Vortex that I haven't seen, but I'm sure it's coming, is the idea of the subscription and the lockout, right? So we're not going to throw anyone under the bus, but we know that typically in the game, you pay for a license, you get some cool features, and then if you don't pay, typically you can be locked out, right, in some circumstances. One of the things I like about Vortex is it's completely optional to the customer. If they decide they want to continue getting this cool AI or Think Search or cloud archiving, you can buy a license and get that ecosystem. And if you don't, yeah, you lose some features, but you keep your camera system, which is super important to keep your business, your organization, your people safe. I love that optionality because it doesn't make you as the partner or me as the manufacturer have to have those tough conversations with your customers, your end users, and it doesn't make them have to make those tough choices.
Right. So that brings me to another question, because that lockout is talked about a lot. What stream are the Vortex cameras running?
It's an RTSP stream.
Okay. So we know that those other cameras that do the lockout, they're running a completely separate stream than that. And in order to use them on another platform that uses an RTSP stream, which there's a lot of AI software platforms that can bring those in, those cameras you have to go to the vendor and pretty much beg them to change the stream. It can be done, but you have to get the right person on the right day to go in and do that, because the manufacturer has to do that. So that's great. So a Vivotek, a Vortex camera can be used on pretty much any platform then. Is that right?
Well, so we have our own base platform called Vortex, which is native, but I'll give you this example. I have a school district in Kansas. I sent them a couple Vortex cameras. We literally, hey, scan the QR code, put in the name the camera, and it's up and running. She said, wow, these are fantastic. She says, I spent a ton of money on this other camera system. We don't feel like we're getting a lot of use out of it. We would love to go over to Vortex, but I don't want to have two systems. We can even flash our Vortex cameras back to an on-prem ONVIF S camera at no cost. We flashed them back. She added them to her other VMS, and she's like, dude, this is so cool. She goes, when we're up for our new system, I want to look at Vortex, but for now, you allowing me to add these ONVIF S through the RTSP stream, sign me up. So again, the versatility is one of, I think, Vivotek's biggest strengths.
Absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, you answered one of the questions I had, if the whole on-prem versus because Vortex is the cloud, right? This is me just trying to learn.
It's such a weird nomenclature, Rico, because, and I say it myself, I say like direct to cloud, but actually a Vortex camera, which, man, I'll go ahead and get you one so you can, but just imagine a turret camera. It's got an SD card in there. It's one of our proprietary SD cards for longevity. 100% of the recording is on the camera. The only thing that actually goes into the cloud is what you save into the cloud. So I'm only bringing that distinction up because a lot of people think, oh man, my stuff lives in the cloud. I'm access to it could be cut off. No, you're always going to have access to your footage on your Vortex camera because it lives on the camera.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so it's actually more of a hybrid system, right? So the only time you're actually using the cloud is when you're viewing it or when you're saving something to it.
Got it.
So, yeah, because when we've gotten a lot of feedback from just people looking for new camera systems, and a lot of times they're like, I would rather have an NVR system or a system with a server because I don't want to go cloud. And you almost need that camera in front of them to say, so the NVR is actually here. Open it up, and this SD card is the hard drive. Yeah. So even if the network goes down, you're not going to be able to reach the cloud, but you can access the camera if you're still local, but you're still recording as long as it has power.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the nomenclature has made it tough. People definitely think it's like Netflix, where their footage is off in a server somewhere and they have zero access to it. It's more like you have a Blu-ray player where every time you record a movie, it saves it to that Blu-ray player, and then you can go back and look at it when you want.
So let's talk about the storage on the camera. What is the baseline Vortex camera? What type of storage does it come with automatically?
30 days running 24/7 recording at 15 frames per second.
Okay. So we're starting off with 30 days. Can we increase that?
Yeah. So we have SKUs that will increase it to 60 days or 90 days, where we actually increase the size of the SD card that's on board. I think it goes 512 gigabytes, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte on our specialty SD cards for 30, 60, or 90 days.
Okay, great. What if we have somebody that says, you know what, 90 days on the camera is great, but I really need the full year. I'm going to have a full year of storage. What do we do there?
I'm gonna pitch them on an NVR with a bunch of terabytes of hard drive, or an alternative SKU that we offer is you can do up to 1 year of cloud retention directly into the cloud, automatically just recording first day in all the way to day 365.
Now, what's the configuration like to set that up? Is that something that the customer has to set up? Is that something the integrator like us would have to set up, or is that something that the manufacturer sets up?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Because we don't go through end users directly, we go through our partners. You would purchase the license from a distributor, you assign that license to a camera, and you're done.
So that's it.
Yep.
There's no additional, we have to log into this cloud, we have to connect these two pieces, we have to use this token to get in and set it up. Okay.
That's
So
pretty
it's okay, so we just buy the license and we add the license to that specific camera.
You got it.
What if something happens to the location? Maybe the location burns down. They have to buy a new camera and move locations. Can we still use that license on that new camera, or are we going to have to replace the license?
That's a good question. It's not a scenario I've dealt with in my short time, Matt, but given the way that
Dealt with it
Vivotek
recently,
operates, which I have always considered to be partner facing, I would bet dollars to donuts here that Vivotek would probably take care of that end user to just move the license over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great question. Asking that question, we've actually had something similar to that happen, and then we've actually had to move some cameras from one end user to another because they decided, you know what, we're gonna close down, but they just sold the cameras back to us, and then, just some things that we've dealt with in the past. So just wanted to really figure out what would need to happen there if that case were to arise. Do you have something else?
You actually technically answered it, so we're good.
I answered it. Look at that.
Yeah, figuring it out. Yeah.
So here's something I'm curious, and I'm not trying to piggyback too much. It's just I'm curious of your perspective. This is just my head working. I'm someone who, being as a technologist as I am, outside of with cameras, everything else, I've always kind of been a on-prem home solution person as well. I have a little bit of hesitation trying to put stuff in the cloud. I understand the importance of having something on-prem and on cloud as well, having multiple sources of backups, right? But when you're talking to clients and other customers, is there like a certain like pitch or type of recommendation for the people who are watching this as well of what would you recommend a certain individual to do? Like, can you look at someone's business and say, hey, Mr. Customer, based on what you have here, I would recommend you just stick with an on-prem solution. Maybe cloud's not good for you. Or would you push cloud to someone who, hey, I think cloud's going to be very important. You may want on-prem, but we believe having a cloud solution is going to be more beneficial. Is there like some type of like game process there for that?
So that's a really great question. I'm going to reduce it down to the base denomination here. Do you want control or do you want convenience? If you want control, an on-prem system is going to give you the control to change the shutter speed, the frames per second, H.264, H.265. You could assign static IP addresses to your heart's content. It's going to give you literally centralized control. And when we talk on-prem, we're not just talking NVRs, we're talking servers, enterprise solutions. When you're talking cloud, you're talking convenience. We're literally talking scan a QR code, you hang the camera up, and you're done. That's it. You don't need to do a math equation. Well, I got 162 cameras. I need a 128 channel NVR. I need a 32 channel. I need an 8 over here. You're just hanging cameras and you're going. It's going to give you a fixed cost, a firmware. And this is not just Vivotek. This is other cloud manufacturers. They're sending firmware updates down, so you don't have to know what firmware version your cameras are on. It's always the latest and greatest. It's going to be super easy. It's going to be convenient. But there's definitely an element of lost control there. Maybe you don't want the latest firmware. Maybe you like the old firmware for whatever reason. On an NVR, I know people who run firmware from COVID, and everything's working fine. They don't want to change that.
Is that kind of the trend? Because I mean, in this day and age, convenience just trumps everything. So is that where most current manufacturers are seeing a lot of the recurring revenue just from people converting to fully cloud solutions?
No, well, I mean, convenience does trump everything, but in the IT industry, I think control is also intrinsically important. Here in Oklahoma, we are talking to a pretty large casino in eastern Oklahoma, and one of the things, they're a tribal entity, and they can't be on the internet. Cloud will not be their solution. They're looking at and being quoted by the partner an on-prem solution, because one of the elements of control that they need is it to be air gapped off of the network.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny because the tribes in Oklahoma, they call it America's internet, like it's not part of their own. But they just say, hey, our cameras cannot be on the internet. They have to be within our own little tribal setup. That's an example of control, and keeping it off the internet is definitely keeping it more in your control. They're gonna have, like I told them this, and they are on board. If they have a situation where they have to update firmware, they're gonna have to download it to a thumb drive and walk out to the hotel and plug it into that server and upload it there. On a cloud solution, not just Vivotek, but most others, you can just hit a button and it'll update to the latest firmware.
Awesome.
That's sweet. That's a question I had.
Yeah,
So
that's great. So let's shift just a little bit, because when we look at most of the, I'm going to call it the hybrid system, right?
Sure.
Because I think the main players in this game are obviously companies like Vivotek, Verkada, Rhombus, and then we can't forget Avigilon Ulta as well.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's throw all of these in there. We know that the Vivotek cameras are made really well. We know that those cameras are also used by, if not all, most of those in some way, form, or fashion. But I say all of that because I think it's interesting when we start putting it together, as far as cost goes, because the Vortex cameras are surprisingly very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
When we've done some comparison of just some, if we were going to price out all of these systems, and the Vortex system outpriced everybody. And I'm not talking about by like $200 or $300, $2,000-$3,000, but marginally different. I know everybody's software is different, and that's where a lot of these changes come from. What do you have to say when you come up against somebody that says, you know what, we know that this is a great system, it operates well, it does everything what we want it to do, but Vivotek doesn't have an access control? What do you say there? Because the others do.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you say there?
Yeah. I mean, to talk about your affordability point, it doesn't surprise me. And again, another reason why I came here is, who cares if your solution is on the greatest on the planet if people can't afford it, right? And so Vivotek is entering its 25th year this year. They have been in the manufacturing game just as long, if not longer, than anyone else. And I think that's starting to pay off dividends. When you control the back end, you're negotiating with the manufacturer. Vivotek is the manufacturer. And then to segue to your next question about like access control, Vivotek is a camera company, and we do cameras really, really well. I think the best, but I'm a little biased because of the logo on my shirt. I think we're the best. I think a challenge that somebody said this to me, and I think about it a lot when it comes to broader portfolios. You can either build it or you can buy it, and building it takes a long time, and buying it's very expensive. I think that Vivotek has decided they want to be a premier camera manufacturer. That's why we're one of the best at the most reasonable prices. We have some really incredible integrations with Brivo, Pro Data Key, Kisi, Halo Smart Sensors, like that. Those guys are experts at access control, right? The idea that we would come in and be able to one-up them is very low. So instead, we've partnered with them. So instead of building it, which takes a long time, or buying it, which is very expensive, we decided to partner with the guys who already know how to do it really well.
Yeah, that answer actually sounds a lot like what we were talking about yesterday, just with us, because when we started 5 years ago, we started by offering the ability we had the ability to sell all different brands of internet, all different brands of hosted voice, and then cloud storage, and then cybersecurity. and all of these other things. And what we ended up finding out is what we're really good at is building network infrastructure, installing security camera systems and access control and AI weapons detection and managing those. The other stuff is just a bunch of white noise that pulled us away from being able to do the things that we do best. And so I actually really respect that because I think that's great. And so for those that are looking for like the phone systems and the internet and things like that, we have partners that we would love to recommend. But that is not who we are, and that's not what we do anymore. So I completely get that. So using somebody like Kisi or Brivo, what about PDK? Is there an integration
we
with
integrate
PDK?
with. Yeah, I've actually heard that our integration. This is from the PDK guy. Is one of the best in the industry. So
Now here's a question. There's these software companies. We know. We obviously Spot AI is focused on, the camera software. So they're doing some integrations as well as far as like the access control goes. But companies like Verkada, Rhombus, if you have the integration with OpenPath, that's a Vigilon. But then you also have Quorum AI that has an access control. They have an open API, right? So is there the ability for using a Vivotek system and having the Quorum AI access control integration?
yeah, so with based on my understanding how some of these other companies work, remember Vivotek manufactures cameras, and at the end of the day, I would love it to be on Vortex, but we work with any other manufacturer, so there's definitely a universe out there where somebody has the Quorum dashboard. I'm not sure what that VMS is called, but the Quorum VMS, Quorum access control with high quality Vivotek cameras on there.
But coming back to it, what if the client is like, I want to use Vortex for the camera system, but I want it to integrate so I can use my Quorum access control?
I'm not going to say it's impossible. I don't know enough about Quorum's access control to know if it's proprietary or not. We do have alarm inputs and outputs, so it's technically feasible, especially with one of our NVRs, going back to the versatility of having multiple solutions to plug in access control into one of our servers or NVRs.
So we're going to take that as anything's possible.
Sure. Yep.
Very
I live in the universe that it's not. I don't say no until I've chased down every rabbit hole, and you kind of know that, Matt, when we worked together in a previous life.
100%.
Yeah.
So.
You were going to ask something else?
No, yeah, it just seems like you guys operate in a very pro-consumer, pro-convenience type of space. Allow the consumer to kind of have the versatility and the flexibility to what they want instead of trying to be a very proprietary solution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, again, it comes back to control and convenience. We offer a flavor for each, right? So we have partners. I was again talking with one yesterday. He's all about control, and he wants control to be able to get his customer the outcome that they want, right? Oh, they want 30 frames per second on here and 10 frames per second there. I'll tell you that on most cloud solutions, including ours, we have guardrails in place to make it convenient and easy, right? We don't want people to get lost in the weeds like that. So yeah, one of the reasons why I love working at Vivotek is we have so many arrows in our quiver, and I think that our best characteristic is we put guys like Matt in a position to win with their customer by just filling up their arrow with as many different quivers. You want convenient, boom, Vortex. You want control, boom, NVRs. You want thermal cameras, we make school bus cameras. I mean, we've got a camera for everybody, and that just helps guys like Matt, other dealers out there, go out there and win.
Great. So you were gonna ask
no, this is just me just being curious. Can you talk about the school bus cameras that Vivotek offers? How does it work?
Yeah, so I mean, I lived in a universe working for a manufacturer previously where they would say, yeah, man, you can put a camera on a school bus, but is it a school bus camera? Like, I don't know. So we make special, unique cameras and NVRs specific to camera or to school buses. These are form factors for exterior face on the camera or on the school bus. These are cameras for the interior of the school bus, dash mounted. We make small NVRs that are compact They have a couple different features in there, like an optional LTE cellular, so
Wow.
they can go ahead and connect. They're robust. You know, school buses are bouncing around and stuff, so these can be bolted down, locked in tight. It's actually one of the secrets, I think, one of the best kept secrets at Vivotek is our mobile solution.
Sweet.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, Theron, we appreciate the time. Now, before we wrap up, can you give us some bullet points? Why should organizations, schools, corporate businesses, why should they use Vortex? Why should they use Vivotek?
Yeah, no, great question. So, I'm a little biased here, but I think that everybody who's interested in physical security should take a look at Vivotek, because Vivotek is the best kept secret in the physical security industry. We have an on-prem solution. We have a cloud solution. We have direct-to-cloud cameras. We have robust cameras. We've been around for 25 years. When it comes to hardware, we're second to none. When it comes to software, we're one of the fastest growing in the industry. I mean, stuff that came out of ISC West, we're already blowing up on that, come out version 2, 3 for our Think Search. It's only getting better. I always like to say this when I talk to a partner. I have a camera for you and your customers' needs. Okay, if you need a specialty type camera, it's most likely that Vivotek offers it. And if you need a specialty camera, it's most likely that Vivotek was the one who came up with the dang thing in the first place. So it's a solution that I really love. You know, just like Rico had said. Tell me about those mobile cameras, man. We get all kinds of people who come when they talk to me, when they talk to other Vivotek reps. Dang, I had no idea that Vivotek could do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great. Well, if you're watching and you want to know more about Vivotek, you can either DM us a direct message or just comment and we'll reach out. Thanks.